New polling is in today on the swing states from the Hill and from Emerson College. We'll get to the average point in a moment, but all of these polls right here, this is one poll, but all of these polls in the swing states, every single one of them is within the margin of error. Look, 48, 49, 50, 47, 49, 47. So it's as close as can be. What's interesting, if you take out the leans and just look at which direction that they're going, Trump, Arizona, Wisconsin, Georgia, and also Pennsylvania has the slightest of advantages where Harris is up in Michigan and North Carolina. Nevada's just completely tied. Now, if you focus on the big three so-called blue wall states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, we've had a decent amount of data come in since the debate in those states. And it's close, very, very close. I would say that you take Pennsylvania, for example. Harris in these three polls has an advantage. Michigan, same, three polls, she has an advantage. And Wisconsin, three polls, she has an advantage. But when you average all these post-debate polls, the Harris advantage in Michigan, maybe 3 points. Pennsylvania, it's less than 2. Wisconsin, it's less than 1. It's like 0.5%. So that's what we're dealing with. I want to switch it over here, if we can now, to the DDHQ presidential forecast map that we always look at. And then you start talking about paths. This most simple way to think about paths to victory, if you start at 226 electoral votes for Harris, 219 for Trump, and 93 toss-ups, are 3 states each, right? 3 states for Harris, 3 states for Trump. We've said it all along for Harris, it's the big 3. It's Wisconsin if it goes blue, very close. Michigan, where she looks like she has an advantage, and Pennsylvania. So that's the simple math, 270. Exactly. Trump has a similar deal here. If he somehow ekes it out and wins Pennsylvania and makes that a red state and does the same in North Carolina and Georgia, 16 each, again, simple math. 270 for Trump in this case. But I reset it before I move on because this is really where it is. 7 swing states, 226, 219. It's so close in all of these states. I mean, the thing for Harris, we'll get into this in some detail in a moment. You know, a lot of people, they asked the question, New York Times, I saw this, before the debate. They said, who do you need to have more information about? And almost nobody said Trump. They know everything they want to know about Trump. But almost a third of the voters said Harris, and the number didn't change much after the debate. Missed opportunity? We'll see. All right. Now, the other thing, we said we'd look at some of the other maps here. And if you look at the Senate map, moving over from the presidential race, this is where the Republicans have the advantage, right? 51-48 is where we start with only one true toss-up where Sherrod Brown is running for re-election in Ohio. So let's just, for the sake of argument, say that he wins and it goes blue and we lean it there. That only gets you 50-49, right? So for the Dems to even get to 50-50, you have to either win, keep Montana with Tester, or flip Texas and Florida. A lot of people keep talking about the polls, but if you actually look at some of the numbers in these states on our wider Senate map here, for example, Montana, where Tester is trying, Sheehy here, former Navy SEAL, third of the list, is his main opponent, where Tester's trying to keep his seat. And, you know, it doesn't look good for him. We have it lean GOP. Not only that, our win probability is up to 75% for Sheehy, who has an advantage of more than 4 points in the polls. So then you start thinking, you know, if you're the Democrats, maybe we could do it. Maybe we could flip Texas. Again, it's easier said than done because, you know, even though it's supposed to be a close race between Ted Cruz and Colin Allred there in Texas, if we actually look at the forecast, not only is it lean GOP, it's almost 80-20, 79% with a 5-point lead in the average of the polls. And finally, you start thinking about Florida, maybe the best of the bunch in terms of Democratic opportunity here. Bring up the Florida race and Rick Scott. But again, right there, this is tough for the Dems because it's 68% probability there for Rick Scott to keep his seat. And you look at the advantage in the polls of 2.8%. So that's kind of where we are. That's the one place where there's an advantage, certainly for the Republicans, is on that Senate side. Now, if you look at it in terms of one more prediction map, the House, this is actually much simpler to think about this way. 215, 210, 10 toss-ups. Basically, and you know, you're going to look at toss-up House races in places like California and New York, not the same states really that you'd be thinking about on the presidential side. Of those 10, the Republicans probably need 3 out of 10 and the Democrats 8 out of 10. But they're all true toss-ups, and there's a lot of races in the House where it's tough to get good polling on. So this, maybe a slight advantage Republicans, but very, very slight. Like the presidential race, it looks like a toss-up.